next part comes from Jubilee, and Jubilee, this is called Middle Ground, and we're gonna get into this a little bit, and we're gonna end this. Um, let's see. Angelica says, "How has Kamala benefited from nepotism?" Well, I guess you're right. I guess it wasn't nepotism per se. I guess it was just a relationship that she had with people, like maybe even intimate relationships that she had with people. I don't know. That's alleged. So I don't know what to tell you.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. I mean, for all we know, I mean, it's out there. So I'm pretty sure if you Google it, you'll see what we're talking about. But we're not trying to bash nobody tonight. We are simply trying to give out information. We're gonna leave that for this next one. They finna bash some people. So we got 60 Republicans and Democrats, and this is Middle Ground Part 2. Now, I do say with all certainty, you need to watch Part 1. It is an hour long, but you need to watch it. Okay? You need to watch it because they literally cover every single point. Every single point. All right? So let's get into it. And what we're going to do for you guys, we're going to actually make this a big screen. It's going to encompass the majority of the screen. Just like that. So here we go.
Maybe for you, you don't want to vote for a convicted felon. But in our opinion, he's not actually a convicted felon. And so we're going to vote for him. Or he's not actually guilty of that crime. But the point...
I did not say that, Angelica. That's what they said. All right. And I'm also saying, just like we don't really know what her policies are 100%, we just know what she would like to do. I mean, news works both ways, for good and for bad. But so biz is showbiz, right? But Angelica says, so, she cheated because he was whoring? Y'all always do black women like that. Well, good for you that Kamala's not actually a black woman. So, she's Asian. She's Asian and black, so she's mixed. So it shouldn't affect you either way. Soda Can Assassin said it has nothing to do with her being a black woman. Correct. And Angelica says felons can't vote, so how can one be president? They can vote after they have been reformed, actually. I know my home church did that, a reforming program. Soda Can said everyone else said it. Even some of her female colleagues. So I guess those female colleagues are also racist. All right. Anyway, let's keep going.
But the point is, we can go back and forth accusing each other of you're a bad person or you're a bad person. That doesn't do anything for the conversation. It doesn't do anything for our viewers. Let's actually go back to the issues. Let's go back to policies instead of silly questions trying to make us seem like bad guys.
Okay, I'm Soraya. I haven't spoken yet, and in part that's because you guys are so smart, like on both sides. You know so much detail about so many things, and I'm almost glad that I don't, because I would be just as like angry, I think, as you guys if I knew as much information as you did. So my angle where I come from is I'm really against polarization. Like that's my main thing. I really can't stand it. I adore people on both sides of the political spectrum. Like I have family members and, just people that I adore, and they're all amazing and they all make good points, and I listen to all of them. One thing that I've tried to look into is a little bit on the more historical side of things without getting too deep into all the nitty-gritty details, more like an overview. And one thing I learned, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand that there's been a rise of conservatism that actually started in the 1960s that was happening alongside the kind of civil rights, rallies that were going on. They didn't get any coverage. Civil rights people got coverage, and there were kind of two branches. And one was like a libertarian conservative who was really pro-free market, and then the others were more traditional conservatives that were really pro-tradition and family values. I'm hearing a lot more of that from you guys, and I'm saying that's great, it's fine. One thing I kind of want my own side to understand maybe is that the right has been trying to be heard for a really long time, and the liberals definitely won the culture war. And in my opinion, it is a lot easier to say how you feel as a liberal. It's not as easy to say how you feel as a Republican, and I think that's a really big issue. They have been silenced. We don't listen to them as much, in part because their views are something that we've decided are not okay. But we decided that, and history could have gone a different way, and we could have decided that they were right, and then we'd all be the ones that were saying, no, we're the ones that should be listened to. So I'm just anti-polarization, and I want to say we all need to like look into it a bit more, maybe to understand each other better.
I like her point. I like the point that she just said about how everybody just needs to allow everybody to say what they need to say, because at the end of the day, we're all United States. So I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Whoa, everybody clap. Hey, before we go any further, we want to take a moment to say thanks so much to Straight Arrow News for powering the fact checks in this video. Straight Arrow News is an app and website that is on a mission to raise the bar on journalism in a time of media bias and mistrust. Their team of journalists believe that unbiased news should be the standard and not just the exception. So they report down.
That's just a different program that we can use as well to do that. We're not going to get into their mock election. I want you guys to go and watch that for yourselves. So let's go back to that.
From the scourge of slavery because of what happened in the Civil War.
Benefiting from economic.
All right.
I want to respond to him really quick because he listed a whole bunch of reasons that had nothing to do with race. Like, I'm talking about race right now and what Kamala Harris has done to help minorities in this country. I don't want to hear stuff about convicted felon. I don't want to hear stuff about twice impeached. I want to hear about
convicted felons. You brought up drug felons, because do you actually know, my friend, how many people went to prison under Kamala Harris as a DA for drug offenses?
Yeah, but how many people were convicted? That's the problem. When you have
do you
a criminal
know?
record,
I'm asking
you're convicted,
you.
it changes your
Do
life
you know?
significantly. I do know. I do know. It was 19. It was
just so that you guys know, Republicans are red, Democrats are blue, and they are talking about Kamala Harris's track record. Thought this might be a good way to end the show.
1,940 people that were convicted, and a minute amount of that went to prison, but it still doesn't.
The fact check said that as San Francisco DA, Vice President Harris' office secured 1,956 felonies and misdemeanors for marijuana convictions, with 45 resulting in state prison sentences, according to the Bay Area News Group.
Matter. They're still on probation. They still have a record.
Her administration convicted 45 men, black men.
They went to prison. That's not that's not my statement I'm trying to say.
Can I ask you something as a black conservative? Your candidate says, I want to make America great again. You tell me when America was great, and then you tell me, would you go back to wherever it was great as a black American? And it's got to be before 2016, my friend, because that's when he was saying that.
I think America was great when everyone was benefiting from economic
No, not general, sir. I'm asking for a specific time. When was America great?
If you want to know when America was great, ask any immigrant who risked their lives to come here.
I really want to hear
America is great.
I really want to hear from the black man on this, because the second part of my question is, would you go back to that time? When was America great?
America was great when everyone had equality and everyone was moving towards equality. That's when America was great. That's when America was great. After the Civil Rights Movement, that's when America was great and making progress in change.
So let's say the late 1960s, you're saying as a black man, you would transport yourself back to the 1960s.
No, I think America was great when economically everyone was doing better. When we're making progress towards equality, that's when America was great. And
so the sum of the condition of America was when people had economic equality, and you think that was the 1960s?
No, I never said that was the 1960s. I said everything past that. I said everything past that. We've made so much progress from then.
In the 8 years that Donald Trump has been involved in politics, I've seen all the Make America Great hats and all the great T-shirts and all that great stuff. But I'm trying to figure out, as a, I think, intelligent black man, well, when would I go back?
So I do have an answer for you in this equation. Those years will be 2017 to 2021. Alice Johnson is free right now. And I know you want to pigeonhole me into a period. All right, you want to go to prior to 2016? Let's look at the Reconstruction era when we had black Americans as a whole that were finally free from the scourge of slavery because of...
Fact check. The Kansas-Nebraska Act was one of the motivators that led to the founding of the Republican Party in 1850 to oppose the expansion of slavery into new U.S. territories. Repeat, the Kansas-Nebraskan Act was one of the motivators that led to the founding of the Republican Party in the 1850s to oppose the expansion of slavery into the new U.S. territories. The act allowed new territories to decide by popular sovereignty whether to permit slavery. The Republican Party, not the Democrat Party. I don't care how they spent it. Let's keep going.
of what happened in the Civil War, they banded together to create something called the Republican Party, and the Democrats created something called the Ku Klux Klan to find and exterminate as many of those recently freed black men.
The KKK was founded in 1865 to oppose the Republican Reconstruction efforts in the South, including equality and voting rights for black people. The founders were former Confederates who collaborated with the Southern lawmakers, many of whom were what? Democrats. Just want to put that out there for you guys. Let's keep going.
As possible. We can fast forward then to the 1960s if you want to. We had Lyndon Baines Johnson, Democrat president of the United States, who said, I will have those N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years.
While the authenticity of this quote can be debated, Lyndon B. Johnson was known to use racial slurs. President Johnson campaigned and signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and Johnson has been described as a racist who did more to advance racial equality than any president since Lincoln. Okay, let's keep going. The chat says 13th Amendment plus Jim Crow laws equals slavery. Okay. And Republican and Democrats were repolarized after Lincoln. So basically he's saying that they changed positions. I can't agree or disagree to that. I'm going to do some research on that. That's fair. But I will check it while we're watching this.
And then he brought the Great Societies Act,
guys, it's not working. It's not working.
And emphasized Margaret Sanger to exterminate as many of us as possible.
Chandler, it's not working. Let's move on.
Margaret Sanger founded the American Birth Control League, which eventually became Planned Parenthood. I'll say it again. Margaret Sanger founded the American Birth Control League, which eventually became Planned Parenthood. Sanger supported eugenics, an ideology that Planned Parenthood acknowledges as racist because it advocates the theory that society can be improved by selective breeding to promote traits like intelligence and industrialness. Now, that doesn't sound like, I don't know, the Third Reich. I don't know what does. But Donald Trump is the one that's the Third Reich, right? Anyway, we're 2 hours. We made it, guys. We made the show.
Hey, and then real quick, Kamala was locking up people for marijuana and all that, and she goes on the Breakfast Club, says she smoked weed. Like, come on,
facts.
Like, come on, man. Really, you locking up people for that, and then you're gonna admit on a radio interview that you smoke weed?
That's a little bit.
Lord. Oh Lord,
that's a little bit.
Come on, man.
All right, but yeah, guys, look, at the end of the day, before we get up out of here, the only reason why we wanted to pull this up is so that you guys go challenge the position that you are in. And if after you've challenged the position with opposing views on both sides, please watch the rest of that middle ground. 60 Republicans and Democrats vote on President Middle Ground Part 2. It's only 30 minutes. No, it's 54 minutes long. But I'm telling you, it's worth it, okay? Because they're going to have a mock vote at the end, and you will be surprised. All right? So just take what you are seeing on this show right here and push it toward whatever it is that you are standing on. And if you still find yourself on solid ground, go with what you have picked. Because at the end of the day, your vote is your vote. Okay? Nobody should be able to sway your vote. If they can, then you don't really have firm footing. All right. Make sure that you are doing firm footing for something that you believe in, something that's going to benefit you. Okay. All right. Closing remarks.